Hi everyone, this is Angie, and I am here with Anthony Giovanni Elias, who is an actor, fight choreographer, and martial artist. Hi Anthony, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Okay, you started as a stunt performer, right?
That is correct. Yeah. When I was 17 years old, when I was in high school. What kind of sparked that journey was I in high school I was in a TV production class, and that's where we were learning like how to do like filmmaking and stuff, and we were working on like morning announcements uh, for um, for school, and we would actually film like these silly little commercials and stuff like that. And so we ended up having to do like a few projects um, where we would make like these kinds of commercials. And I did a one where it involved like a little bit of like screen fighting of sorts. And if I remember correctly, I think it was like we were trying to promote like an energy drink of some sorts.
Mm.
And so we just incorporated that into like um, into like why we were fighting for like the energy drink, and that's how it sparked like the idea of like what, like I think I definitely want to go
That direction.
deeper into film. Yeah, absolutely. But really, like as far as like that, the skill for stunt performing, um, that was all inspired just from many years of training martial arts since I was 7 years old, and
Wow,
growing up watching people like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Tony Jaa, Van Damme, and even like
legends.
old. Oh yeah, exactly. You know, uh, yeah, I've always been inspired by those guys, and so yeah, I've always fantasized about being in film and being like an action hero of sorts. And yeah, here I am. Here I am today.
So can we say that your dream came true?
You know, I would say so. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm still pursuing the journey strong. I'm definitely not at the level that I want to be just yet, but we're getting there. And luckily, I've been blessed with quite a few opportunities, and I've definitely met some of my heroes as well, other heroes, who work in this industry. And hell, I even being trained by one of them. So yeah, it's definitely been a blessing. It's definitely been a dream come true so far.
Wow, congratulations then.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Uh, and how did you become a fight choreographer?
Well, that started with stunt performing, and a long time ago, I ended up getting my first opportunity on a short film back in Florida, and I was brought on board to do some small stunt work by a man named Walter Garcia, who's a big time, fight choreographer, stunt
Mm.
coordinator in the industry, very respected. And he gave me my first shot in this film, and then from there, uh, that's where like I caught the bug, to want to do more of these things.
Mm.
And I was raised with the mentality that you have to create your own work, you have to create your own opportunities, and you can't wait for others to call upon you. So um, I pretty much had gathered some like-minded people, grabbed some friends, and anybody who wanted to try to get into the industry, and we just practiced. We would go to the park, and I had a silly, camcorder. Yeah, at the time it was a camcorder.
Yeah.
Definitely nothing compared to the fancy cameras we have now. Um, and yeah, we would just be at the park and just start, you know, designing choreographed moves, and from short ones to long ones, and just practicing, practicing, practicing. And at the time, this is where I was trying to figure out YouTube essentially,
Yeah.
and I was posting everywhere: YouTube, Facebook. Um, and that was kind of pretty much it. And from there, just eventually over time, um, there was a film student over in Full Sail University back in Florida. I started my career back in Florida. That's where
Mm.
my
Yeah.
origins begins for that. But yeah, this student was from Full Sail University, and he and his crew was doing a project where they were doing a documentary, and they were going to do a documentary on an established stunt team, that was out there, and somewhere in there they ended up changing their mind, or something changed, and they then wanted to do a documentary on a stunt team that is trying to get established. And so and that's what I had started. I had started like my own team, and got my own crew together, and we were just trying to pursue the industry hard. And so yeah, at the same time, I was trying to make my own project, which inevitably failed. Um, just when you try to do things for the first time, you start making all those first time mistakes and such, and you know, it was what it was. But yeah, they were filming us in the process of doing that. And even so, the project never went anywhere, never came to fruition, but definitely everyone got a lot of good demo reel footage out of it. But then the documentary went out. And once people saw it, that's when we started getting all the calls, to do this project and that project and so on. And funny enough, take a step back. Before I even got into being like a fight choreographer and like starting my own team, like my goal was always to be an actor first and foremost than anything. But like again, as an action actor, and I remember right out of high school, I I was supposed to join the military, and that was just something that uh, my family thought was good for me, and at the time I didn't really know where I wanted to take things. I knew I wanted to be a performer for sure, but like I grew up kind of old school. It's not exactly a stable career, blah blah blah, and that only works out like if you make it, and you know. But no, I mean, not to say that my parents were a killer of dreams. They definitely weren't, but they were just parents trying to look out for me, and
Yeah.
so. But yeah, I almost joined the Marines. I did the ASVAB. Uh, did all the tests, physical, requirements and stuff, and all I had to do was swear in. And but then like last minute, I ended up pulling out. I was like, yeah, no, this doesn't feel right. It's not the thing that I want to do. It's not the thing that I'm passionate for. And yeah, at first my my parents were pissed. They're like, what? And it's not like I couldn't go and try again and whatever. But then my parents ended up making a deal with me. They were like, look, okay, we'll entertain this idea for a little bit. You got a year. You have 1 year to do something with this career. Get a project or two lined up, and like let's see where it goes. If after a year, if nothing comes from it, then you go in. And we're like, fine,
Deal.
deal. And next thing you know, that's we ended up getting that documentary. And this is the funny story behind it. After the documentary, actually, I'm sorry, during the documentary, I ended up meeting a filmmaker by the name of Andrew Dean. Oh, first off, I was gonna say the person who did the documentary, his name is Vidal Acosta, who is thank God for that man, because if he didn't do that documentary, my career, I wouldn't be here. So I always have to give that man his flowers every time I tell his story. Um, and same thing to my good man Andrew Dean. He was working on the documentary, and he approached me while we were filming it, and he had came up with a concept for a short film, and this is where the irony kicks in. And so in this short film, this was my first acting role, like
Yeah.
my official first acting role, because like yeah, again, I did a stunt gig, and like me and my friends, we were filming our own stuff, but like it wasn't like acting, it was just like fight choreography and just showcasing our skills. Um, and I ended up getting cast for this role. It was my first lead role, and funny enough, it was a character who was prior military, and
No way.
exactly, it was prior military, and this was a story about a man who was captured by like the Taliban, and he was held captive for like 400 plus days, and eventually he gets rescued. And the film is called Cope, by the way. You can definitely find it on YouTube. Um, and yeah, he ends up getting rescued, and he's now having to try to live, in the civilian life and trying to cope with the trauma that he had been through for the past 400 days, going to therapy and such. and a bar fight ends up breaking out, and that was such a cool opportunity because not only was that my first um, lead role in a film as an actor, but also I got to have the entire stunt team that I had cast in
Oh,
the
that's
film,
great. Hmm.
and so it was literally me, with the for the first time with my friends, being able to put together that project and choreograph the action and such, and it was a big success, and we
Wow.
definitely went through a lot of film festivals, and for years actually that was a circulating project for quite some time, and yeah, it was funny because I looked at my mom and just because I like to mess with my mom, I looked at her, I was like, see, mom, life finds a way. And then she just looked at me like, "Shut up, Anthony. You know that's not what we do." So that's how that whole thing started. And again, just project after project, I eventually started meeting new people, started mastering my craft, and to this day, it's been God 15 years, something like that. And I'm still learning a lot. At the end of the day, I go through life, with a white belt mindset, trying to learn something new, a new way of filming, a new way of moving, new way of performing. Um, uh, as a performer and even as a martial artist, um, and even with choreographing my own action, there's always a new way of doing something, an easier way of doing something, or something a little bit more creative. Um, yeah, so it's been quite the journey so far, and I've been honestly blessed and very thankful for each opportunity that comes by, no matter how big or small.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Which movie was your favorite to work in?
Ooh, you know,
Good
that is
question,
such
huh?
a yeah, that is such a hard pick. I would have to say, um, just because of the experience um, that I've had with working on this project, and even though we shot it pretty quickly, um, and it was one that released not too long ago. But funny enough, we ended up shooting it God, I think back in 2020, 2021, and it's a film called Unconquered, which was a Native American piece that was based on the last and world's largest slave revolt,
Hmm.
the story of John Horse, and how basically the Seminole natives were taking in black slaves as for refuge,
Yeah.
so that way they could escape slave owners and such. And it's a very, very powerful story. And I would say that one is my favorite, just because one, we had a stellar cast, and I love everyone who I had worked with. Between the director Hari, um, and my good buddy Kevin Rigo, who brought me on board for the project. He was a stunt coordinator and fight choreographer, and it was funny enough with that project. It was definitely a blessing, and I'd say it was one that was meant for me because uh, funny enough, I was a recast for this part, and they had another actor in mind, and then I don't know some reason for some reason this actor pulled out of the project, and he went to go pursue another one, and so I was the next runner up, and I had to also learn not to speak a whole nother language, but I had to learn a language to speak
Yeah.
the lines that I said in the film, and so I got to pick that up pretty quickly, and because also too it was an added bonus that I could perform my own action and my own stunts. That's how I ended up getting that role, and it was awesome because I descend from the Taino Nation, you know, which for those that don't know, that consists of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Jamaicans, Cubans, and Haitians. All those islands compile one nation,
Hmm.
and that's the Taino Nation, so Caribbean natives. And to and I value that part of my heritage a lot, just because it's special to me, and uh, and even growing up as an American, but to be able to play that kind of role for the first time in a film like that and to tell such a powerful story, it definitely meant a lot. Um, and it was very powerful. And that one's doing pretty well. Also, as far as like the festival runs, and now it's currently you can watch it on the Vire network. It's a short film, but it's like about maybe 16 minutes long. But
Hmm. I
man,
will
there's
definitely
definitely
watch it.
room. yeah, there's definitely room uh, to further explore that project. And hopefully, I hear there's talks of them wanting to make it a bigger project, either a feature or maybe even a show. But quite honestly, even if that doesn't happen, it's great as it is, even just
Mhm.
for a short film, because it really tells you all that you need to know, during that time. And I'll tell you what, that story has one powerful testimony in that uh, when it was being pitched to producers and even trying to get it aired, a lot of people didn't want to tell that story, and I guess that's just because not to go too deep into this, but I guess just where we are politically in
Yeah.
the film industry, and and while I understand it, uh, nobody wants to tell slave stories anymore, which is what they kind of thought this film was going to be. Like, oh, it's just another film with torturing slaves and stuff like that. And it's just like, not exactly, because the film is about uh, uh, slaves being encouraged to rise up and free themselves, to fight
Yeah.
back. And, I think uh, we haven't had enough of those kinds of stories. Um, and so, but anyways, eventually they ended up coming across some people who wanted to tell that story, and you know what? It got completed, it got out, and it's been great ever since.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, I would definitely say that was one of my favorite projects to work on, just because the caliber of the project, just how much effort it took between location, costume. Again, me and even the other native actors, had to learn a language that we had to speak for the role too.
Was it
And
hard to learn? You said you picked it up quickly, but was it hard?
I mean, I picked it up. I had to pick it up quickly. I don't want to say that it was hard, but like I had limited time because when I got the part, I was going to start shooting like a couple weeks later.
Oh, so you did not have too much time then.
Ooh. No, like I said, because I was a recast, so
Yeah.
I had to pick up everything fast. And like I said, luckily because I had stunt training, all the moves that I had to perform in the film, I learned like only 1 day in advance. Which luckily, it wasn't too hard. But like, and trust me, and a lot of projects I've had to choreograph something on the spot or perform something on the spot. And again, just the more you do it, the more you get used to it. Um, but yeah. I had limited time, and pretty much I had to go on the internet to try and find the the accent, the what's the word that I'm looking for? Um, how to pronunciate like the words and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I did pretty okay
Didn't
for the
you
time
have
for the
a
short time that I
dialogue
had.
coach?
Was that
Did you not have a dialogue coach?
so? Oh, okay, yeah, I tried to get one. I tried to
Oh,
get one, and
I don't
and like
know
I
how
said,
it works. I'm just curious.
no, you're totally fine. Because I told the story before. Um, uh, I tried to get one, and the production, like I said, they had someone who was actually of Seminole descent and could speak the language, and so on. But like I said, that person pulled out of the project, and uh, this film was on a limited budget, but they had a website. They sent me some links, and they definitely gave me resources to um, find the language that had audio that helped me pronounce the words right, or as close as can be um, during that time. But and I tried to get someone to help me with the part because again I'm not Seminole, I'm Taino, and so there is this aspect of the industry where and I don't blame them for this because I'm all about authenticity as well. But sometimes in this business, you don't have the luxury for 100% authenticity, and only in that was like I said, I was someone who I looked the part.
Yeah.
I could also perform the action. I pretty much was the best person at for the job at the time, and there's not many people who are Seminole who so happens to be in, in acting, be in stunt performing. Like I'm pretty sure there are some, but just during this time they
Yeah.
couldn't find that. So my
We are
point
glad
was
they
that I
found
tried
you,
to
right?
was that
We are glad they found you.
I'm blessed. I'm absolutely blessed. Again, it was a great opportunity, but yeah, I tried to find someone, and I did talk to someone, and I was unfortunately denied
Uh,
because this person, and maybe because like I guess they didn't want to be seen as someone who helped another person who wasn't from that tribe to teach that person to speak that language, just to I guess step away from like being judged, like, hey, you should have taught someone who was actually Seminole and all this other stuff. But I don't know. Most natives, most indigenous cultures, we tend to see each other as one people. Like at the end of the day, we're all human and we're all brothers and sisters.
yeah.
Um, and in the end, especially when it comes to things like this, we all have to like stick together and help each other be the best that we can be. So like I said, I don't blame that person for denying helping me, but yeah, it's just something that happens. Just unfortunately, politics has a huge role in the arts in this
Yeah.
in the film industry. You know,
Is there an actor you would like to work with in the future?
oh my God, so many. Um,
Oh, you have a
you
long
know,
list, huh?
there's a huge list, but I would have to say, if I could pick at least two people, just because I really look up to these guys as performers, I would have to pick Tom Hardy. I
Yep.
love Tom Hardy and everything that he does. Like just he's just an incredible performer. Huge fan of his, and also too, he's a great performer as well. He's also a great filmmaker, but also Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And on top of that too, I feel like just who he is as a person and just someone to hang out with, I feel like we would be the best of friends. And for those who know me, they know what I mean by that. Um, so yeah, I would have to say those two, absolutely for sure. I would love to work with them, but of course, amongst many other performers. But if I had to pick a top two,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Do you have a favorite indigenous actor?
a favorite indigenous actor.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna say, so funny enough, Jason Momoa is actually part indigenous of, he's a Hawaiian
Yeah.
and native descent. So I would say he's definitely one of my favorites. Um, and yeah, I've watched so many indigenous films. I mean, it's kind of hard to even just pick one, but
Okay, pick two then.
pick two. Um, I mean, and not because it's just easy to pick him. Um, he recently passed away, but I've seen a lot of his work. Um, was his last name Green?
Graham Greene. Yeah.
Graham Greene. Graham Greene.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a
he was
huge
also
loss.
yeah. It was a huge loss, and my heart goes out to his family and his friends and all his loved ones who knew him. But he was also another great performer. And there's also several actors that I've seen a lot of their other stuff, like people from like the people laugh at this one. Uh, all the actors who played the wolves from like the Twilight series.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all pretty great too in their own rights and other roles that they have played in um, as well. So yeah, for sure, I would love to work with each and every one of them. But even for the last project that I had worked on, I worked with these twins, um, uh, Kyoto and Naya Clearbear. They're huge influences in the indigenous community. Um, they were an absolute joy to work with, and we're actually talking now, and for sure we plan on working together again in
Mhm.
the future at some point. But they were the actors that I had worked with opposite in the film Unconquered.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Yeah, they're absolutely great.
Have you ever been seriously injured?
Luckily, within the business, no. As a kid, I definitely had my bumps and bruises,
Yeah,
and that was just from
I
training
meant the
martial
business
arts.
part.
Yeah. No, luckily not in the business,
Hmm.
but definitely as a kid, I definitely had my bumps and bruises. In pursuit of martial arts, and
Yeah.
once upon a time, parkour was like such a huge fad during that time, and yeah, I may have sprained an ankle or two,
Mm.
but as far as like any like major injuries, no.
No.
Luckily in the industry, I've been pretty good about not injuring myself, and on top of that, not over exerting my body as a performer. Like just knowing my limits and
Mm.
knowing when to take a break or knowing when to slow something down, or even to have to change
Yeah.
a move or two in order to prevent that injury. Because in the end, especially when it comes to stunts and martial arts action and stuff. Like we all like to do like the coolest, move and the biggest move and like get that moment of like what, but uh in the end, um it's all about being a storyteller.
Hmm.
Like I don't have to do the most intense moves. I don't have to risk any major injuries, just for the sake of looking cool. I'm in the end just like an actor as a performer through choreographed movement through movements. Um, that's how I also prefer to tell a story. So even doing the most basic of movements can have so much power behind it when you're putting in the performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, not definitely not in not into risking an injury just for the sake of art.
Yeah. I
I like to
understand.
keep doing this for as long as I possibly can, until eventually, I don't know, definitely in my 50s, maybe 60s, I like to perhaps take a step back, be on the director's chair, or perhaps raise the next generation to go ahead and take up, the mantle.
As a fight choreographer, which
Mhm.
work are you proud of? Which of
Oh
your
man,
work?
you know, as a fight choreographer, I mean, I'm proud of all of them. In the end, like every
Can you
project I
pick
treat.
one?
Right. All of them are kind of like my babies. But if I had to pick
Mm.
one, there was a film that I did years ago. I would say back in 2015. It was a film called Unlawful Justice, and in that film, I mean, I choreographed the entire. It's a full feature film, and I choreographed pretty much damn near every fight scene that was in that movie. Um, and it was just a lot of work, and that project also kind of took a few years to make and to put together, just because of reshoots, and they had to change some things, and we've also had producers that were on board, who had their notes, and so yeah, it took a while to make, and then and quite some time for it to release. But I would have to say that was I have to say that's the project that I'm most proud of that I've done so far, just because of how much I had put into it.
Mhm.
And again, same thing. While I also got to meet a lot of other performers during that time, I also had my stunt team at the time, and again, a lot of it was me working with my friends, and that's really what it felt like, especially for being on that production for as long as we were. Um, Eventually a friendship was also built with everyone between cast and crew, and
Mhm.
it was super cool. It was like that project just ended up becoming a fun thing to do on the weekend and just something to look forward to. So I'll have to say that one.
Oh,
And
okay.
just because of how it felt to watch all of us like on the big screen when it premiered,
Mm.
red carpet and all that, it was a big event. It was a big event.
Which martial art would you recommend for women?
So for women, I mean, it's the same as I always recommend for men. For the most part, I recommend any martial art. I mean, because uh, the more time you put into it, the better that you're going to become. And again, the more consistent you are, the better you're going to become. But if I had to pick a couple, I would say first and foremost, I would say Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Um, I'm dabbling in that a little bit myself, but and most women will understand why I pick Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, just because it requires defending yourself on the ground,
Hmm.
and yeah, I would say that's a really great art to to study to be able to subdue someone, protect yourself, or to even
Yeah.
escape.
Yeah, to
I
learn
would say that.
self-defense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be mindful of my words. 'Cause I'm pretty sure this is going to be up on YouTube, and we want everyone to see this interview. But but yes, I would say
I can cut whatever you want to.
no. Okay, I'm just making sure. Just because Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is a great martial art to defend against sexual assault.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great martial art for that. I would also recommend something like Krav Maga or even like Kali, very straightforward style martial arts, very quick. Nothing that's like too fancy, like, not to knock these martial arts, they're absolutely great and they're powerful in their own way. But just because of how they're presented, like nothing that requires you to do like, I don't know, a 360 spin in the air and anything
Yeah.
like that. It's like, no, this is just very straightforward styles that just it allows you to neutralize a situation or eliminate an enemy as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Um, I would definitely recommend those three styles in particular. Or if I had to add one more, judo as well. Kind of for the same reason as Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. If someone gets hold of you, it's a style where you can use your enemy as leverage and like take them down.
That's great.
And
Mhm.
again, to escape, simply to escape.
Yeah.
I would definitely would not recommend anyone trying to, and particularly women, to sit there and try to like go blow for blow with someone.
Yeah.
You know, if you can escape, do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time
Thank you.
and
Thank you very much.
congratulations for everything you achieved. And I hope that we can see you more on the screen in the future.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that, and hopefully we get to go and talk again as things update. But
I
I
hope
definitely
so.
want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. It was an absolute great honor, and I just want to say too, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. Not just for the industry as a whole, but also um, for the indigenous community and having more eyes on us. I think that's something that things it's getting popular now that people are now taking a notice, that that
I
that we're
want to
here and
make
that
sure you guys are seen worldwide.
right,
Even in Hungary, you see. I'm in Hungary, far, far away from you, but yeah,
right, which is
you
amazing
are
to me
not
when you told me.
invisible. You are not invisible.
Right, right, which is amazing when you told it to me, like that you were in Hungary. I'm like, wow, all the way over there, and I'm just
Yeah,
like,
you
that's
see.
awesome. Like we're all of us are getting this kind of recognition, and so that's absolutely amazing. So again, you're,
So
you're
grateful
absolutely
for
doing wonders for
social
the community.
media.
Yeah, yeah, thank God for social media.
Yeah. So thank you again and talk to you next time.
Absolutely. You take care.
You too. Okay.